Welcome to your mom's favorite channel. So today we'll be making Jaffles, and this is a Jaffle iron. This one has got a non-stick surface on the inside, which makes it pretty nice. My mom used to make me these when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed that, so I don't want to wait. Let's get right into this. It's a pretty simple recipe, and with all recipes you start with the base, and a good place to start is the onion. The onion is full of flavor, full of aroma, and just take one onion and cut it up into fine slices. And please be cautious when using sharp knives, you can really hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing. Then you take 2 cloves of garlic, just crush it and slice it into nice fine pieces. And you don't have to cut it up too fine as we will be cooking this. Next up, we have the tomato. It has a nice hint of sweetness and a level of acidity that just ties all the flavors together. So cut these up into little squares. So just be careful because these little flavors can be slippery sometimes. So now that we've got this base covered, I think let's go to the next step. And now we'll be adding some more depth to the flavor. So we've got these little sweet peppers, just to add a little bit more sweetness and a little crunch. We've got this nice homemade Basil Pesto. Pesto is the shit. Mushrooms are perfect for savory dishes because of that nice umami flavor that it gives. This is vegan biltong, and if you used to eat meat, you know how good that shit is. This is Via Life mozzarella cheese. It's also good with everything. And then you take your mushrooms and you give them a nice thin chop. I only used about 5 mushrooms for this recipe. I find that's enough, but you can add more if you like to. You can also experiment with different kinds of mushrooms. These sweet peppers are quite delicious. They add a nice texture, and they are also packed with vitamin C, so you won't catch that scurvy. Yes, scurvy dog. Alright, so let's go to Flavor Town. Let's talk about spice. 1.5 tablespoons of coriander seeds. Freshly ground is always better. You can use a coffee grinder too, or you can just buy the pre-ground stuff. This is better though. So you're going to be using about 5 cloves. These are pretty potent. Just mash those up. Smoked paprika gives some sweetness and that smoky flavor. Nutmeg is good for amping up any savory dish. Sage pairs well with meat dishes, and pepper goes with almost anything. And lastly, let's not forget about this umami bomb right here. Tomato paste. It's a good base for any sauce. Jaffles are traditionally made with a mince, and this is the only veggie mince I could find that doesn't taste like shit. It comes with this little gravy sachet, but we won't be using that today. You cook this stuff like real mince. You put it in the pan with some oil and brown it up. So on a medium-high heat with about 2 tablespoons of oil, you throw in your onions and let them cook off a little bit, and then you put in your spices, and almost immediately you'll be hit with those nice aromatic aromas. Then you put in your garlic, let them cook for about 3 minutes, and then you add your mushrooms, and those should cook for about 5 minutes till they're nice and tender. You add your mince and then you cook it till it browns up a little bit. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and then you add the tomato paste. Stir in with about 250 ml of vegetable stock and cook until it reduces and thickens up a bit. In the meantime, you can add your peppers and your tomatoes. And then lastly, just a little squirt of fresh lemon juice. And then one of the most important ingredients for making Jaffles: bread. I find that fresh, soft white bread works the best, but feel free to experiment with other kinds of breads as well. So you'll need some kind of vegan butter or margarine, just a little bit on the outside. It will help with not sticking to the pan and also browning it up a little bit more. You might have to use your own discretion for the amounts that you want to put in. I find that 3 heaped tablespoons is just a little bit too much. So to be on the safe side, about 2.5 tablespoons should be fine. And then just remove the excess bread sticking out. You can tear it off or you could cut it off with a knife. And you put it straight onto the flame. Medium-low heat should be fine. And you can use a normal electric stove as well. It just takes a little bit longer. And turn it occasionally, and every now and then just check how much is browned. If it looks like this on both sides, we're good to go. You can take it off the heat. And just a little heads up, the pan is hot, so don't be tempted to touch it. And by the way, the Jaffle's hot as well. And now the building process just starts over again. Try experimenting with different flavors. This Basil Pesto is amazing. And after building the first two, you'll get used to it and the process will go much quicker. And with this one I put some cheese on it and it was so good. Just remember, this thing is still very hot. I put a little too much stuff inside so it struggled closing. So just use a cloth if you need to press it down. And as you can see, it started leaking a little bit. Not the end of the world, it was still amazing. The next one I tried was some chili chutney. This stuff isn't very spicy, but it adds a ton of flavor. This vegan biltong is made out of seitan. It's a wheat meat and it's stacked with protein. And I would actually love to make a vegan biltong soup with this, and if you guys would like to see that, hit me up in the comments. Sometimes you might find that they stick a little bit. You can just pry it loose with a knife or a fork and just be careful not to break it. But please, whatever you do, even if it's the only thing that you try from this video, make a burger. A burger Jaffle is so cool. The patty fits perfectly and there's enough space for all your toppings and it just comes out so lovely. Try to eat these while crispy. Do not cover them, they might get soggy. If you leave them out a little bit, they do get soft. And you could always just put them in the oven or back in the pan for a little bit and they should crisp up again and be good as new. Serve with chips, dips, sauces, whatever you feel. Let's eat. If you like what you see in this video, please don't hesitate to subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment, I'll get back to you. Away.